I'm Reverend Cornell Carter, and we're celebrating Black history. In this segment today, we want to talk about Harriet Tubman, one of the most influential leaders of the liberation movement. Born around 1820 in Dorchester County, Maryland, Harriet Tubman was born a slave. By the age of 5 or 6, she was already serving in the house as a servant for her master. About 7 years later, she would be sent into the field, where early on she began to display a keen and sincere interest in the welfare of others. One day, a controversy arose between the overseer and another field hand. And in an effort to protect that field hand, Harriet Tubman put herself in harm's way and stood in the doorway between the overseer and the field hand. An angry overseer reached for a 2-pound weight, throwing it at the other field hand, but it fell short, striking Harriet Tubman in her head. She sustained an injury from which she would never recover, even later in life, suffering episodes of narcolepsy and seizures. It was a very grim reminder of the difficult life that slavery entailed. In 1844, Harriet Tubman married John Tubman, but life did not change much for her. In fact, just 5 years later, in 1849, Harriet Tubman, in fear that she, along with others on the plantation, would be sold, decided that she would escape the life that she had known. In fact, she did, and following the North Star, found herself in the state of Pennsylvania, eventually landing in the city of Philadelphia. There, Harriet Tubman began to work and save money. And while for many of us, it might represent a dream come true, Harriet Tubman was not satisfied, realizing that so many others were still trapped in a life of slavery and a life of limited opportunity. Because of her overwhelming concern for the welfare of others, Harriet Tubman made the unthinkable decision that she would return to the place from which she had escaped, that others might have the opportunity for freedom as well. Imagine yourself in a horrendous situation. An opportunity presents itself for you to finally extricate yourself from one of the worst things that you have ever known. And upon reaching freedom and leaving that situation behind, you make the decision to go back to the very thing that one day you dreamed you would never have to experience again. Harriet Tubman did exactly that. Though she were a free woman, there were others still enslaved. Though a woman of small physical stature, though a woman who had very little formal education, her commitment, her strong sense of what was right, and the opportunity to share freedom with others compelled her to face all odds and to go back, searching for others who might also become free. Harriet Tubman represented different things to different people. She represented fear for the slave owners, because a people once reconciled to the fact that they were slaves, were now coming to the understanding that it no longer had to represent their destiny. Harriet Tubman not only represented physical freedom for the slaves, but for once she represented freedom of the mind. She opened up the opportunity that life would change in some very dramatic ways for a people who were never, ever really free. In every image of Harriet Tubman, we see a woman of small stature, described as having no formal education. But listen to the power in her words. Every great dream begins with a dreamer. Always remember, you have within you the strength, the patience, and the passion to reach for the stars to change the world. I had reasoned this out in my mind. There was one of two things I had a right to: liberty or death. If I could not have one, I would have the other. For no man should take me alive. If you hear the dogs, keep going. If you see the torches in the woods, keep going. If there's shouting after you, keep going. Don't ever stop. Keep going. If you want a taste of freedom, keep going. Harriet Tubman teaches us an invaluable lesson about reaching back. Going back for those who may still be in some type of bondage. Going back for those whose hope may have been eclipsed by the challenges and the barriers of life. Going back and speaking an encouraging word to someone who may be disillusioned by a moment in time. Greatness, in fact, is within our reach. And our challenge as a people, our challenge as a community, is to help others achieve greatness, because it rests on the understanding that our destinies are tied together. And when we reach back and grab someone else, we advance all of humankind. I'm Reverend Cornell Carter, and we're celebrating Black History.